Hi guys, Ochite. I'm Carol J, and I have another video for you today, and it's called Perspective. What has your attitude been like today? Ochite guys, like I said in the last clip, this video is on perspective, aka attitude, and I'm going to read the definition. It's a short definition of perspective, and it is, I do have my notes here, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. Perspective is a particular attitude or way of regarding something. Now, what is something? We already know something can be anything: a person, place, thing, situation, event, an idea. And I say idea because a lot of information, there's so much information out there, and with so many people hearing different information, different people are going to have different ideas, aka their perspectives. And so I'm going over this video today because it's relative to the book Up Veo, the book of sight. It is definitely relative to the book and perspectives, because in the book there is a lot of information in there, and some information you may have heard, some information you may have not have. So I'm going to go over perspective so that you can have a clear understanding of what perspective is as you receive information, not just information from this book, but just daily information. And perspective, it goes throughout the course of our day, the course of our life. I mean, today, what was your attitude today? How would you rate your perspective or your attitude of today? How did things go for you? Or better yet, how did you perceive things to go for you? Because there's a difference. There's a difference in how things went for you, perspective of things went for you. Because you could be a situation, and let me think of a situation. We could say an accident. Let's say driving, and we already know when you have an accident, there's always a witness or something that says, oh, I know what happened. I seen what's happened. I was there. I see what happened. And you could have like 4 or 5 witnesses, and guarantee you're gonna have 4 or 5 different perspectives on what actually happened to the accident. There's definitely going to be some same opinions or ideas of what happened in the accident, but there's, because of everybody has a different angle on how they see things and how their mind works, there's going to be different perspectives. And so that I want to bring it up because we can have so many perspectives. Let's say, for example, the world. Look at how many people is in the world today. I don't know. The last count that I heard, they said it was 9 billion people in the world today. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't even know how they can count all those people, but 9 billion people. So that means that we have 9 billion perspectives on different things at any given time. And so with that being said, you know, this is why it's very important for you to own up to your perspective, and think about your perspective in a rational way, not just a frivolous way, in a rational way, because perspective actually stems from your thoughts. So, and it's also attitude. Your perspective is also basically your attitude. Like we read the definition, perspective is the attitude of how one regards something, regarding anything. So it's definitely regarding your attitude, because you could start from the time that you wake up. If your perspective of getting up, regardless of what you have to do, if you have to go to work, if you have to go to stores, shopping, whatever, if your attitude of when you get up, or your perspective of when you get up is like low, or you're dragging, or you don't want to do it, that's pretty much going to grow. So the perspective that you started when you woke up can grow if you remain in that attitude or perspective of the day. Then it could pretty much grow, and before you know it, throughout the day, your perspective, the low vibration that you had, because you're grown and you're moaning about the day, you're moaning about what you have to do, you're just moaning. this can grow, and throughout the day you'd be surprised of how many perspectives you had and that you have actually grown about, so it's just something to think about. Just to give examples, I gave one about the accident. Another perspective is, when we considering all the people in the world, we can the perspective on the world in general. When you if somebody wants to say, well, what is your perspective? What is your attitude on the world? I mean, what would be your response? What is your attitude on the world? Do you think about that? Do you have one? Because I know some people who say the world is just fine, and there's other people. I've met a lady who said, I would never have kids and bring them into this horrible, evil world. And I'm like, wow. I was like, so she let me know right away that her perspective on the world was that of something that was evil or something that was not ideal. So the idea of her bringing a child, another life into the world just did not resonate with her. So her perspective of the world was, I would say, negative, maybe on the low vibration, but it was still her perspective. This is how she sees things. She sees things in this world, and everybody's entitled to their own perspective. But I want to highlight perspective because, once again, it starts from your thoughts and how you see things. And as I said, if you start off with negative, it can quickly grow and compound to additional negatives. So when you're thinking about attitude and perspective, it's wise to kind of gear or try. I mean, we all can try. I mean, we're all works in progress, right? So we have to try and gear ourselves towards perspectives or attitudes that is more favorable, more positive. Yeah, more positive, more positive, regardless of what happens. Because let's face it, I'm the thoughts girl. It's all about the thoughts, right? So, and we are talking about Funk Up VEO, and Funk Up VEO is all about perspectives, is in the title. With so many perspectives out there that give false information or misleading information or confusing information, it's very important for us to have our perspectives or our attitude in check, to be able to recognize with this ocean of information that we're receiving. Is very important for us to recognize and to put our attitude and perspectives in check, because at the rate right now, the way information is flowing throughout the airwaves, throughout the atmosphere, if your perspectives are not in check or not in order, you will be bombarded with information, and it could be information that's harming, definitely not beneficial for any kind of growth or expansion. Some information or your perspective on information could leave you, stagnant, feeling a certain kind of way towards yourself or towards others. And see, these are just some of the things that most people don't think about. Maybe people like me, I think about them all the time, but perspective is very important, because once again, it stems from your thoughts, and your thoughts is going to basically determine what attitude that you're going to present to the world, whether you feel it's good, bad, or indifferent. Another perspective or attitude that, and this is another subject matter that we can have on perspectives, is relationships, and this could be any kind of relationship. This can be platonic relationships, romantic relationships, professional relationships, family relationships, So let's take family, for example. Let's see, what can I say about families? Okay, let's say you in a family and you have siblings, and one of your siblings was, let's say, in the pharmaceutical industry, just in the street version of the pharmaceutical industry. And I know y'all know what that means. I hope y'all know what that means. So let's say you had a family member that was in the pharmaceutical industry, but it was the street version of the pharmaceutical industry. Wow. And you're you're like totally like that's not your thing. You know it's not, it's a fast life, easy in, easy out, you know the outcome in situations like that, it's not beneficial, that the actual process of doing that is harming, or you feel your perspective is that it's harming, many people, it's not, implementing into the system, you could say your perspective is, subtracting from the system. Now, this is hypothetical. Now, I'm just saying this is a family member, right? So you have a family member that's in the pharmaceutical industry, and your perspective is that, it does not agree with your sensibilities. Now, let's go on the other end of the family member who is actually involved in the pharmaceutical business. They feel it as though the end justifies the means. They feel as though that it's bringing in income. They feel like it may be supporting their family. They may even feel like that is making people happy, because if people desire the product, there's definitely supply and demand. So this is how we can see how perspectives about the one subject can be so vastly different, and how it's very important to pay attention, because sometimes it could be a perspective that you may not know which way to go about, but someone can sway you to a perspective with their description of how they feel like this perspective is good, beneficial, or works for them, and you could find yourself being swayed to somebody else's perspective that's not even your own. And this is really how a lot of people can get caught up in certain things by taking on the perspective or the attitudes of someone else's opinion or ideas. So that was just one for the families and relationships. Let's see. Let's go with romantic relationships. Suppose you have a relationship where you have one person who is controlling, and they want to control like the mate and everything that they do, and they feel like they want to control all aspects of the relationship. They control the money. They control the rules in the house. They control the children. They can control the movements of everything. And the other person may want some, the other person may want some say-so in the matter in regards to the household situation, as far as, controlling this, or input on the money, on the spending, on the kids, the discipline for the kids. So you have two people in the exact same scenario. It's the same scenario. It's a relationship. It may have to deal with the house, the kids, the family, the finances, and other decisions in that scenario. And you have two different perspectives, where one wants to be the only one to control everything and dictate this, dictate that. And the other one well, I want to be a part of the decision-making process. I want to be involved in the money, in the discipline for the children, and in the decisions for the house. And different perspectives, that could create a conflict. So what do you do in that situation? That is your perspective that you stay, and this is just hypothetical. All these stories that I'm saying are hypothetical. It's just something to make you think, something to make you go, so in a perspective like that, I know me personally, if it was a relationship like that, and if I was in a relationship where someone wanted, or they said, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to control this, and I'm going to control that, I'm going to control this, my perspective on their perspective, or them presenting me with their perspective, would be quickly for me to end this relationship, because I have to be included. I have to be a part of the process. I have to be engaged in what's going on in all aspects of a relationship, whether it be a house included, children included, and other decisions within a relationship, and taking care of home. While somebody else might say, I'm okay with them taking care of everything. I don't want to be involved in it anyway. I don't care. long as we have food and everything's paid and the kids are happy, I don't care. I don't mind them taking care or controlling everything. But these are perspectives. There is no right or wrong answer to these. These are just perspectives and attitudes towards particular things. And I'm just highlighting again because in the book I go over perspectives. The title is about perspectives because the information that I put out is going to require each individual to have a perspective about it, a perspective or attitude of whether they're going to receive the information or not. Pretty much self and dry. I mean, there is a middle ground where you can ponder that information and maybe converse with someone else. But at the end of the day, the book's main purpose is for you and yourself to give or discern a perspective for yourself. And that's a part of what's in the book. And this is why I'm going over perspective, because I could say perspective and if people don't really know what perspective mean or how it is played out in daily life and with information, with people, with things, let's say perspective, professional. Let's say you work somewhere, you worked at a particular job, and your boss, supervisor, manager, whoever they are, the way their attitude, on doing things seems like it provides more work. I've been there. I know this. I'm giving this example because obviously I've been in this one. Well, you have a manager, boss, or supervisor who their attitude or perspective on how to supervise is about providing more work for people. Or what if it's about favoritism? They're favoring other employees over the other. While they may not see it as favoritism because the person in your eyes, from your point of view perspective, seems as though they're getting the best assignments, the best positions, the best leeway, and so you may think that there's favoritism and it's not fair, while they may think, no, it's absolutely fair, and from my perspective, I don't see a problem with it. And so at this point in this dynamic, there's always choices, but the choice for your perspective, for your mind, for your life, it's going to have to be made by you. So once again, that's another scenario. And that's, I just wanted to make a quick video on perspective and give a couple examples on perspective so that you can kind of get an idea of how it is relative to your daily life and like your daily scenarios, your daily situations, because it's kind of encompassing of everything. Everything is a perspective. We get an attitude on everything. And when I say attitude, I know if in my culture, when you say attitude, people automatically assume like, oh, they have an attitude, which means they're angry, upset, mad. But attitude, I'm using it in general terms, like attitude is just being the word, attitude, which is the all-encompassing of the attitude, which can be good, bad, indifferent, or the other. So I made this video, and I'm going to end it because I wanted to keep it short. And this video was just to highlight how perspective is all-encompassing in our everyday life. And I want to highlight information again because once again, I'm speaking on things from the book, and perspective is absolutely an important determinant or process, I should say. Having an individual perspective is an important process within the information that you're going to receive when it comes down to funk up VEO. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I think I gave enough examples. For you to see how perspective. But okay, so now that we went over perspective, this is what you can do. When you go through your day, you can start now, or you can start from the morning. When you wake up in the morning, pay attention attention to your perspective. How is your perspective? You know, and I know from different people's perspective, some people say, oh, I'm not a morning person, or I'm not, you know, in my mind, my perspective is I'm an everyday person. Every day is a good day for me because it's a blessing. Every day that I get to wake up. So I'm an everyday person. But you might have somebody else say, I'm not a morning person. Well, that's their perspective. That's their attitude towards as they wake up. You know, my attitude is I'm an everyday person. Every day is a great day for me to wake up and do something else. And so with that, I'm going to leave it here. But think about perspective as you go through your day. How are things affecting you? How are you looking at it? Is there another way, another perspective that you can look at something, especially something that makes you mad? Let's say something that makes you uneasy or triggered or bothered. Look at see if your first response or perspective to a situation is anger, upset, anxious, whatever. See if you can look at it from a different perspective and change that by looking at a different, a higher perspective, and do this throughout your day, because you may find that maybe you've been looking at things from a lower perspective than needed, and sometimes we do stuff so often we get caught in a program or a system where our perspective remains low, like everything is like all humbug, So this is a video to awareness video for you to pay attention to your perspective, aka attitude, on things, situations, or events that occur in your life, and just see how. Try to alternate, try to turn it. Now, if you're a type of person and your perspective is always on the high and you just going along about your day and you just a big ball of high vibe and energy, then bravo. Then, you already know what I'm talking about. And with that, I think I'm going to leave it there. Until the next video, I'll talk to you guys soon. Ochite.